Okay guys, back to code with Gabriel section, and in this module we are going to be talking about CSS. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first thing to talk is to introduce ourselves to CSS. What is CSS? How can CSS can be written? And that is all we are going to be looking at in this video. So let's go ahead and dive right in. What is CSS? CSS is actually a cascading style sheet for designing the web page. It can actually be used to have a static or a dynamic design, or to allow multiple pages to inherit the same kind of design. So it's just the main style sheets out the styling of our page. That is what CSS is all about. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. So in this place I have a Chrome browser running with nothing on it. Then right here I have my Visual Studio Code running. I'm just going to press Ctrl K O, and right here you can see I'm going to open code with Gabriel. I created a folder named CSS course. I'm just going to open that. Okay, so all we actually have that is prompting up with to us right here is just the welcome page. Then uh inside this folder, inside this CSS folder, this is it right here, it is empty. So I'm just going to click on the create folder button. I'm just going to tag this CSS. So it's right here. The folder I just created now is right here, and inside the folder is where I'm going to be working. So I'm going to be working inside this folder right now. Let's go ahead and dive right in, guys. So the first thing to do is inside this folder is to click on the create file button. So I'm just going to create index dot html. So I'm just going to create that, and as you can see I have the index.html right here. Another thing to do by clicking on the CSS again is to create a folder. I want to name it CSS, so which means we are going to be dealing with external style sheets. Don't worry if you don't understand this. I've actually explained in the previous tutorial while we are working with HTML. It's a very good practice for you to go back and understand what we are doing here. But for now, if you still don't understand, don't worry, I'm still going to take you throughout this tutorial. Okay, let me just click this off. This is what we need. So inside this CSS, as I click on it, I'm going to go ahead and click on the new file, and I'm going to name it style.css. Oh my god. Okay, all right guys, so that is all we have. So the issue is I don't want to have this kind of nested folder and nested folder inside each other. So I'm just going to go ahead again and press Ctrl K O. This time around I'm going to click CSS course, then I'm going to open the CSS folder directly. Okay, so instead of having it nested, so I just have the two file, the folder and the file working with directly. Okay guys, so let's just go ahead and start writing code. The first thing is just to go to the index.html. If you press Ctrl B, you're going to have this show. If you press Ctrl B, it's going to close itself. So I'm just going to write an HTML5 code. So if you are not actually much more familiar with HTML, it's a very good practice for you to still go back to my previous tutorial or modules on HTML before you go ahead and continue with this tutorial. But if it does, let's go ahead and roll together. So we're just going to say welcome to CSS. So I want it to be in uppercase. Okay, like that. So right in this middle, what we want to do is just to throw an h1 that say welcome to CSS. So just going to close this. For us to be able to use this style sheet, this style.css we just created, we actually need to create a mechanism whereby we tell this page to go ahead and link to the CSS file that we created right here. So the syntax is very simple. We just go by link, Then the first thing to tell them is that, okay, when you are linking to this CSS file that is right here, what is the relationship between this file and the CSS right there? So it's a link relationship. Then we give the value of the relationship to the style sheet, and we go ahead and see where is the reference, where is it actually located. Then we say href, so which stands for the reference, where the location of the CSS. Then we say, okay, go into the CSS folder, splash style dot css. So, and that is all we need to actually go ahead. Maybe I should put this on a bigger screen. Let me just put it on bigger screen, then we can actually come and zoom in. Okay, I think it's better like this. So what we actually have here is very simple mechanism. We just have a normal HTML page that is linking to an external style sheet. That's where we have link. The relationship between this page and the where we are going is actually called style sheet, and the location of the style sheet, so it's actually the CSS folder. Then go ahead, so we just say from here, go inside the CSS, so say CSS directly, just go inside the CSS and pick up the style.css. So let's go ahead and open this style.css in the new browser. So before I actually proceed, let me just talk about the style.css. So any file that actually ends with .css shows that it's a CSS file. So that's an extension for CSS. There are other frameworks of CSS like SAS, so that's actually beyond the scope of this tutorial. But I like to create an awareness just in case you see someone else writing SAS and doing kind of a styling. You shouldn't be looking at it to magic or doing something funny. They are just writing CSS in another format, or let me see the kind of framework. Okay, so we have this already. Then we have this already. Let's go ahead and open the page in the browser first. So I'm just going to go here uh, on my index. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the part of my index. So I copied it. Then I'm just going to paste this on the browser window right here. So then let's see what we've got. So the only thing we actually have is that we have this page right here that is pumping up that says welcome to CSS. So that's all we got, and we haven't done any designs. You can see this page is pure and clean. So let's just go ahead and probably do some styling and see what can happen. Okay, so the first thing to do is to actually go ahead and begin to style our elements inside CSS. So the syntax to actually select any element from this document is very simple. You just need to go ahead and pick up the name of the elements or any element in here that you want to design, and go ahead and give it the design you want to give it. So let's just say probably out of all these elements, let's say we want to design these h1. So we're just going to say h1, then we're just going to give the curly braces. Then probably we want to give it a color. We just go ahead and put any style we want to put in between these curly braces or curly brackets. So we can just say color, let's give it green. So let's go ahead and go to the browser and refresh this. So as you can see, when we go ahead and give it color green, then this actually changed to color green. So that is how you can go ahead and use CSS within your page that you have created. Probably let's look up for another element to actually design, because we don't have much element on this website here. Okay, we have the body. So let's just go ahead and do something to the body. So the syntax is we just declare the name body space, then we go ahead by the curly braces. Then in the middle we can say the background color. The background color of the body should be gray. So that's all go. Let's go ahead and refresh this. So when we refresh, you can see we have the background color to be actually gray. So that is the end of this tutorial, just an introduction to CSS. So let's just go ahead and try to do some stuff on it, work on it, have a CSS file created in another a separated folder apart from the same directory with HTML. You can see this is actually a good structure to create a website. So you have the CSS folder, you have the JavaScript folder separately, not just putting it where the index page is. Then we actually go ahead and create a mechanism whereby we can link from this page index.html to style.css. Alright guys, so see you in the next tutorial.